Hi everyone, I'll be talking about Myanmar's plastic alternatives today. Connecting the past to the future is an important part of moving forward and helping to reduce the detrimental burden of plastic on the environment. We are in a unique position where we created our own problem. The problems that have been created by plastic did not exist before it was implemented so deeply into our lives by companies and ourselves. This especially applies to Myanmar, as plastic products only arrived to rural areas in the early 2000s. We can therefore look into our past to develop solutions for the present for the benefit of our future. The key problem is that plastic has become heavily integrated into Myanmar's consumption pattern. You can see this with the three main sources of plastic consumption: PET bottles, plastic bags, and food packaging, varying in severity, with PET bottles in yellow accounting for the least amount of plastic waste, and food packaging in red accounting for the most. The original system in Myanmar to distribute water was through Yekudo, a traditional practice of donating water in clay pots for spiritual merit in return. Ye in Burmese means water, while Kudo means merit. These clay pots can be found in a lot of places in Myanmar, even in cities like Yangon. This is a completely plastic-free process when done properly. However, Yekudo has become a dying practice with the popularity of PET bottles. By 2019, about 2.5 billion bottles out of the annually consumed 3.6 billion PET bottles were used for water in Myanmar. It is estimated that the average person in urban Myanmar uses 18 PET plastic bottles a month. To connect the past and the future, it is important to reintroduce Yegudo into everyday life and make it a norm again by working with organizations to create new stations outside of their stores, offices, etc., and making them even more accessible. Yekudo could be even more influential if not only supermarkets were creating water donating stations, but convenience stores as well, as they're more popular in low-income neighborhoods. Educating the public about the negative effects of plastic bottles through social campaigns on Facebook and other social media will also be influential in reducing the popularity of plastic bottles, because plastic bottles are still seen as clean and modern. In actuality, PET bottles are made from polyethylene terephthalate. Often they do not include BPA, a toxic chemical that is linked to breast cancer, early puberty, and infertility. However, when heated or stored for long periods of time, the bottles can leach antimony, a toxic chemical linked to hormone disruption and reproductive toxicity. By changing the way people see PET bottles, we can influence them to create more environmentally conscious decisions wherever they can. Plastic, now the second largest contributor of plastic waste, plastic bags. In the past, before plastic bags were introduced and integrated to everyday life, people carried food in tiffin carriers and produce in baskets. With the rise of supermarkets, delivery food, and plastic bags that came with it, plastic has been introduced to everyday life, including food vendors on streets and local markets. Plastic bags have overtaken Myanmar, with City Mart using 62 million plastic bags a year alone. Furthermore, it is estimated that 112 plastic bags are used per person per month in urban Myanmar. It is imperative to connect the past to the future by increasing the popularity of reusable containers again, like tiffin carriers, in order to reduce the amount of plastic bags that are being used. Adapting tiffin carriers to fit consumers today in Yangon and introducing more popular types of reusable carriers like canvas bags to the market can make sustainable options more competitive. However, strict policies must also be implemented to create significant change, like taxing plastic bags to bring awareness to the problem as well as move people away from their convenience. The success of plastic taxing policies can be seen all around the world. Portugal, for example, implemented a 0.10 euro tax on plastic bags in February of 2015. This is about 153 Myanmar chat. 4 months after the implementation of the tax, a supermarket that was studied found a 74% reduction in plastic bag consumption and a 61% increase in reusable bags. In Ireland, a 0.15 euro tax, an equivalent of about 230 Myanmar kyat, was imposed, causing an estimated 94% plastic bag reduction. Taxing bags is a viable way to transition into future single-use plastic bag bans, as it is easier to police and establish at this time in Myanmar. The efforts to reduce plastic bags in the past years have been admirable, from creating plastic-free campaigns to creating substitutes for plastic bags, like recycled paper bags. But more needs to be done to curb the exponential growth of plastic. City Mart, for example, has done a good job at being environmental conscious, but it is not as radical as it seems to completely eliminate the use of plastic bags. Not only can large supermarkets and stores be environmentally friendly, it will not be costly to do it, not if they transition to reusable bags correctly. The problem many people find with implementing reusable bags instead of plastic ones is that it can be costly for low-income communities. For example, City Mart's reusable bags range for 3,000 kyat to 6,000 kyat. This is pricey for low middle class people unless they can return the reusable bag in good condition back to any of the supermarket's locations and gain back the money used for the bag, similar to a deposit. Because these bags can be washed and reused, overall, less materials need to be used, including plastic. Finally, the largest contributor to Myanmar's plastic waste is food packaging. It is also one of the hardest problems to solve, as large companies market their products in a way that they are accessible and affordable to low-income communities. There are also few substitutes that have been made for plastic packaging. Tea culture is very big in Myanmar. In the past, it would be routine for people to go to local tea shops serving traditional Burmese sweet milk tea and home-cooked snacks. These snacks were often wrapped in banana and palm leaves. However, plastic packaging products have overcome the industry with the increased availability of a large range of plastic packaged snacks like biscuits and chips, as well as the popular easy-to-use tea and coffee sachets. An estimated 124 plastic items under food packaging and sachets is used per person per month in urban Myanmar. To connect the past to the present, we can adapt the traditional practice of wrapping food in leaves to create stronger biodegradable packaging made from leaves and bark of areca palms. A local organization, Wawasar, uses the leaves of areca palms to create packaging and the bark to create bowls. The problem that these local organizations attempting to create sustainable substitutes to plastic packaging face is that there is not a large enough market to create significant change. This is why cooperation with popular food retailers for food delivery orders is necessary. Policies by the government that require popular coffee and tea companies that use plastic sachets to only use recycled plastic instead of virgin plastic in their packaging is one of the ways we can decrease the environmental burden of plastic packaging as well. Nestle has already pledged to shift the recycled plastic packaging by 2025. Shift 2, requiring the popular local companies like Premier Coffee or Royal Tea in a time period of 5 years would allow them to properly adapt to the policy. A temporary solution to manage minor plastic waste in rural areas is introducing the idea of eco-bricks. Rural areas struggle with the plastic packaging that has been introduced into their consumption pattern, as they do not have the proper waste management systems to get rid of their plastic waste. They pile up on landfills and contaminate nearby water sources. Eco-bricks are made by reusing readily available plastic bottles and stuffing plastic packaging into it. It is an easy process that does not require money or the long-term help of NGOs. Once these bottles are packed with plastic waste, it becomes a reusable building block. Natural materials from these communities can then be used to build simple structures or even just stored to prevent the plastic from re-entering the ecosystem. Looking into our past can help us develop solutions to implement change in the present for the sake of our future. However, consumers and corporations must collectively make conscious decisions when producing and purchasing products. It is crucial to advocate for change in the way we do things because our current system relying on plastic will not support us in the future. We must all be willing to accept change for rural areas where there are no proper waste management systems, for low-income communities that have piles of trash on their streets, and for the environment that is already cracking under the burden of the plastic crisis.